Hi, everybody. I wanted to come back on because I have posted the memorial for Faye Swetlik. She is the little girl that was she was taken. She was abducted from her yard on February 10th, 2020, so last year. I will do the autopsy report at a later date, but so basically, Faye disappeared. It launched a 3-day search in her South Carolina neighborhood. She was abducted and killed by asphyxiation. She was taken by a 30-year-old man who was the neighbor behind her mom's house. One of the things that I wanted to address with Faye Swetlik's case is mom wasn't in the spotlight. Mom wasn't involved. But there was a lot of rumors, speculation. So I wanted to do a little bit of statistics on percentage, just to give everybody kind of an insight. Normally, on abduction or a child going missing, we'll start looking in the inside first, look at the parents, both mother and father. Once they've done that, then they start looking outside, family, friends, acquaintances, neighbors. So, it was a frantic 3-day search, and people started rumors about Faye's mom, which were horrible. I mean, they were downright horrible. But in this case, the neighbor took her. He harmed her. On a disappearance or a child abduction or anything like that, usually the parents are involved. It's a 1 in 10,000 chance that the parents are involved. And Faye's parents weren't. I just wanted to jump on here because I did with the memorial. So what had happened is Faye was in her front yard playing. Next thing you know, she disappeared. Her mom called 911. So, then it led to not knowing where she is. And a monster took her life. And I'm not gonna lie when I tell you this little girl captured the hearts of many across the nation. Not just there, but around her state and everywhere in the country. I just wanted to address the fact that every day there's children that go missing. Every day there's a new face that we're looking for. So I was just reading something where I wanted to touch on it. And it says here, between Monday and Wednesday nights, investigators conducted 4 perimeter searches of the neighborhood and collected video footage from nearly 50 locations. Snellgrove said they discovered video that appeared to show Taylor doing some things that are suspicious to us. Okay? And would not elaborate. By the end of the week, officers had followed 283 leads, a hotline set up during the search. Law enforcement also knocked on every door home in the Churchill Heights neighborhood where she lived, going back to the house until they interviewed every resident. The man that ultimately determined was responsible for Faye's death lived about 150 feet from Faye's house. 150 feet. Snellgrove said Taylor was interviewed by investigators on Wednesday afternoon and was cooperative, gave permission to search his home. Investigators did not find anything at the home that led them to believe he was connected to the case at all at that time. Taylor does have a roommate. There was no indication that the roommate was involved, Snellgrove said. Fisher said evidence shows Faye was already dead at the time Taylor was interviewed. Investigators believe Taylor killed Faye within hours of her abduction on February 10th and moved her body under the cover of darkness in the early morning hours of February 13th. Snellgrove found Faye's body around 10:30 a.m. February 13th, after investigators found child's polka-dotted boot and a soup ladle with freshly dug dirt in it during a search of the neighborhood trash cans. Sorry. It's sad. The trash can in which the items were found was associated with Taylor's townhouse. After calling for assistance to conduct an additional search of the wooded area behind the home, Snellgrove found Faye's body nearby. The funeral will be held Friday at 7 p.m. at Trinity Baptist Church and Case, according to the obituary shared by Culligan's Funeral Home in Lexington. So I put the tribute on my page so everybody could see it. I don't want Faye to ever be forgotten. And how critical, I want everybody to understand how critical the first 48 hours are. I also want people to understand that sometimes the spotlight can be taken off the real perpetrators. And every day, it never fails. There's another person, another child missing. So when you're really looking into things, go back to the beginning. Go back to the beginning. And no matter how many team members you have on your team, not every law enforcement is strong. Not every law enforcement has the manpower. And even if they do have the manpower, they can't fix or do everything. They need help. If you saw something, say something. You had a roommate, you notice they're kind of weird. Yeah, it's time to say something. This man had actually joined a Facebook group for missing Faye Swetlik. Another thing I want you to keep in mind, an individual or individuals get involved with the case. Sometimes they're cooperative. Sometimes they help with searches. But one of the things that I thought was horrible is the fact that people were attacking her mom. And why do people jump to conclusions like that, by the way? Do you think it's maybe because that's what they do? Because there's a lot of people that do hurt their children. But in this case, you could hear it in the mom's voice. So 7 months after Faye's passing, or her murder, there was her mother spoke out. There was a park ceremony for Faye, and her mom spoke out, but she stayed media quiet, which means she didn't say anything. His mother, Selena Collins, decided to break her silence in one of the first public interviews since the news of her daughter's disappearance and death made headlines 7 months ago. Collins says she was reluctant to speak with the media before because she wanted to keep the focus on Faye. Did you hear that? She was reluctant to speak out because she wanted to keep the focus on Faye. When she described as her whole world, Faye was her whole world. That was her only child. February 10th, when Collins says Faye returned home from school and started playing in the front yard outside of her home in Case. When she couldn't find Faye shortly after she made a call to 911 and reported her missing. Just 3 days later, little Faye's body was found in the neighborhood she once called home. Officials say her neighbor, which is the monster that murdered her, was responsible for her death and died by suicide. The coward took his own life. Faye meant absolutely everything to me, is what Collins said. And even in my darkest time, and even when life got to be its hardest because I am a single mom, or I was a single mom, even when I didn't have anybody else, I had Faye. And I know it's an awful lot to ask of little children to learn on and to lean on, but she was always my rock when things got to its hardest. Colin said, adding that Faye was always down for a cuddle and for a movie. Colin says her daughter loved being at the park and the beach. Being dedicated in her honor will serve a special purpose, highlighting Faye's love of making new friends. She says this won't be just the beach. but what's called a buddy beach, a buddy bench. If you feel like you don't have a friend to play with, you can sit down on a buddy bench and somebody else will come and sit down with you, talk to you, or somebody will come up to you and know you need a friend. I mean, kids are awesome that way. And then they go and play together. Colin says Faye was always the first one to give a compliment, even randomly to people she's never met. We don't go anywhere without her stopping like 3 or 4 different people to compliment them, be it for their hair color or the color looked good on them, and always wanted to make a new friend. Colin says there will also be a buddy bench at Springdale Elementary, where Faye went to school. Thursday's ceremony at Felton C. Benton Park begins at 7 p.m. Well, obviously, it was 7 months ago. Faye's favorite color was purple. The sparklier, the better, her mother said. My heart goes out to Selena and everything she's endured. Losing her child, having random people that didn't even know her accuse her of harming her daughter. That's hard. And it's sad. It's sad that our world has come to that. So that's why I've shared. Especially, I think I was a couple days late, but I wanted to share the memorial of Faye and the love that her and her mom had, the bond. Selena forever has that guardian angel. So when a parent is being quiet, that doesn't mean they're guilty. They just want the focus to be on their child. So before you go to bed tonight, say a prayer. Say a prayer for Faye and her mom. Say a prayer for yourself. Sit down and think about what you and where you would like that focus to be. I'm off. You have a good night.